Good morning, metalheads of the internet, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Metal Meltdown. Today we are talking about the latest studio album from Tomb Mold entitled The Enduring Spirit. And that means you can finally stop messaging me about this album. You no longer have to send me a bajillion emails and DMs and comments going, "Oh, Robert, did you know there's a new Tomb Mold album? Oh my god, they dropped a new album. Robert, are you going to review it? If you don't review it, we'll kill you and everyone you love." I am aware. We're reviewing it now. Silence, please and thank you. This is the fourth full-length studio album from this Canadian death metal crew hailing from my home city of Toronto, Ontario. Throughout the late 2010s, these guys very quickly became one of the most exciting and entertaining and consistent death metal bands out there, with an absolutely massive body of work already. 3 studio albums, tons of EPs, tons of demos. They even had music featured in the hit video game Cyberpunk 2077. Despite all of this success, though, Tomb Mold have been relatively quiet the past 4 years or so. Part of this, I believe, is Derek Vella's commitment to other projects like Dream Unending and Outer Heaven, both of which we've talked about multiple times here on the Metal Meltdown, and we have thoroughly enjoyed. I assume part of this also on some level has to do with, COVID-19, that did make it pretty difficult for people, especially here in Ontario, to kind of meet up and hang out and do shit. But I digress. Whatever the reason or reasons are, truly, it doesn't fucking matter. Because Tomb Mold is back with a brand new album, their first in 4 years, and unsurprisingly, it's fantastic. It's visceral, it's destructive, it's gruesome, it's abstract and very cosmic and very adventurous as well. This is, I would argue, the band's most expansive and progressive record to date. There are some softer, cleaner shades and textures to be found. There are some more complex rhythms and arrangements, some more spirited leads and solos and vibes. It definitely feels like everyone in Tomb Mold has learned from these other projects that they've been working on over the past few years, and they've been paying attention to what else has been happening within the death metal spectrum, and they've kind of brought that together with what was already influencing them from like Cynic and Gorguts and Nocturnus, and they've brought that together into something cohesive and inspired and powerful. Possibly even one of the best death metal albums of the year, which I know is a fucking bold statement because Jesus Christ, this has been an especially fantastic year for death metal, with bangers left and right from Crypta, Horrendous, Contrarian, the aforementioned Outer Heaven. But yeah, I'm gonna say it regardless, because I'm a bold motherfucker. Fuck it, at least I like to think I am. I'm probably not. I like to think I am, though. That's gotta count for something. Opening number, The Perfect Wave, Phantasm of Aura, kicks things off on an appropriately dark, spacey, cosmic note with adventurous waves of progressive death metal and like grisly, ghastly sounds and textures and tones. The first time I heard this song, I was watching somebody play the new Mortal Kombat game, and they were doing that Liu Kang fatality where he literally snaps his fingers and they're in the void of space and he shreds somebody to pieces using an actual black hole. And honestly, that for me describes this song pretty perfectly. It has these blistering, almost blackened death metal-esque assaults all throughout. It has these winding sections with very over-the-top, flamboyant, and eclectic guitar work. And anchoring all of this, you have these very cavernous, monstrous, guttural vocals, and it kind of ends up sounding like somebody trying to speak to you through the aforementioned black hole. Perhaps it's the souls of previous souls left to suffer and die in space. Then there's Will of Whispers, the first track on the album that really starts to take us into some more abstract, like truly spacey territory. Some nice, crisp, bassy licks here, glistening, shimmering guitar chords as well, kind of painting a picture of, like, gently floating amongst the stars. After which the track blossoms into something that channels the primitive energies of, like, really old-school American death metal, and also, like, kind of, like, early to mid-90s technical and progressive death metal. It's very much in the vein of something I might hear from Blood Incantation, or perhaps even, like, the very, very, very early years of Cynic, like the demo stuff, but with a little bit of, like, focus and Traced in Air thrown into the mix. Then there's Fate's Tangled Thread, which throws in some more janky and unorthodox, kind of like Voivod Gorguts-esque riffery into the fray. All the while, it still has these classic, like, old-school, gory death metal poundings and beatings as well. It's like watching, like, a sci-fi horror creature kind of lumber slowly towards you. Then there's Flesh's Armor, which is sonically probably one of the most brutal cuts on the record. It just unrelentingly pounds away at the cranium, jumping back and forth all the while between some varying speeds and tempos as well, and different clusters of absolute death metal riff mayhem. Its slower, groovier turns near the very end are especially fascinating, as it throws in some truly bizarre, like, guitar work right on top that almost feels like it could have been pulled from, like, a classic prog rock record. And then there's the album's magnum opus, its title track, and its closing number, The Enduring Spirit of Calamity, an 11.5-minute progressive death metal monster taking up nearly a quarter of this thing's runtime. It is action-packed, it is unpredictable, it is filled with cosmic, adventurous twists and turns. Listening to this back-to-back with, like, anything from the early demos, and Primordial Malignity for that matter, just kind of illustrates how skilled these guys are and how skilled they've become. You have these dark, bleak, storming barrages. You have these more eclectic and spacey kind of sci-fi prog metal outbursts. You even have some more stripped-down sections near the very end with some very spirited and evocative guitar work. Honestly, the entire album could have been just this one song, and it would have worked. Like, there's that much happening in just this one song. It is a completely, totally enthralling piece of music. All the performances here are great. Production-wise, this is yet another absolutely top-notch record from Arthur Rizek. His style of mixing and mastering, and just the way he records and presents everything, it's incredible. With this album specifically, I'm impressed at how something this large and grandiose and cosmic and adventurous can still feel like really kind of like rooted here on Earth. It can still feel grounded, and it can still pack so much fucking punch. The pacing of this record is incredible too. I mean, it just flew by. When I say there's no fat and filler, I truly do fucking mean it. There's not a single snippet of music here that doesn't serve some kind of purpose and doesn't have some kind of catharsis. Personally, I'm feeling a very stupidly enthusiastic 4 out of 5 on this bad boy. Literally, you could push it, and suddenly it would be in the 4.5 to 5 territory. It wouldn't have to be a hard push either. Literally just whoop, and that's it. I think for me personally, I just prefer the more demented nature of previous studio albums. That said, this is still a massive step up in a lot of ways, and I think people are going to be extremely happy with the results here. I'm incredibly excited to see where Tomb Mold goes in the future with this sound. I think it's awesome that they were able to drop this out of the blue as a surprise, and the fact that there's already this much hype around it tells me that these guys are set up to be one of the next big death metal bands. And by big, I mean like big. Like, they just did their record release show here in Toronto, and they fucking sold out Lee's Palace. So, you know, they're gonna be going places. They're gonna be doing cool stuff. Like, literally, Suffocation and Cattle Decapitation play that same fucking venue. I saw both of them there years ago. They can't sell out that fucking venue. Like, there's a lot of momentum behind Tomb Mold. I'm really excited to see how they continue to progress, how they continue to evolve. It's going to be really fucking exciting to witness. And that is it for the Metal Meltdown. I'm not an expert, nor do I claim to be. So what do you think? Do you like this record? Do you not like this record? And what do you want to hear from me next? And thank you for watching. Make sure you press subscribe right here so you get updates on the Metal Meltdown fucking immediately. And as always, you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.